Remember when you used to dream, before life taught you to shrink, before the world told you to settle? There's a part of you that hasn't disappeared, only fallen silent. If you stay with me until the end, you'll see exactly how to awaken that dreamer inside and finally feel alive again, no matter how much time you think you've lost. Most people don't notice the moment they stop dreaming. It happens quietly, in the space between disappointments, small betrayals, and the relentless demands of growing up. One day, you realize you've traded wild hope for something safer, quieter, a routine that asks less and, over time, gives less in return. You tell yourself it's normal. You become good at surviving, but not at living. Carl Jung understood this silent tragedy. He believed that every person carries two lives, the one they are given and the one they create. The first is built on expectations, rules, and other people's voices. The second is fragile, born from the private world of dreams and childhood wonder. Lose touch with that second life, and you'll spend your days feeling empty, even if you achieve every outward mark of success. How do we lose it? Sometimes it's slow. Each maybe tomorrow, every small surrender, every moment you stay silent when your heart wanted to shout. Sometimes it happens suddenly, a heartbreak, a failure, a voice that cuts too deep and leaves you convinced that dreaming is dangerous, childish, or naive. You learn to hide your wildest hopes, to keep your imagination under lock and key. The world calls it growing up, but Jung would call it forgetting who you are. No matter how buried your dreams become, they never die. You might stop talking about them, even to yourself, but on lonely nights or in sudden moments of beauty, you feel their pull. There's a quiet hunger that whispers, "Is this all there is?" You can silence it with distractions, work, endless scrolling, even fake smiles. But the hunger waits. It grows in the silence. Jung believed that this longing is not a flaw. It's the soul's way of calling you back to life. The pain you feel when you remember lost dreams is proof that your spirit is still alive. It's the difference between someone who's merely surviving and someone who is secretly searching for a way home. The dreamer you once were isn't gone. They are simply waiting for you to remember. Think back. What did you love before the world told you to be practical? What filled you with wonder before you learned to fear judgment, failure, or disappointment? Most people try to numb these questions. The brave let them guide the way back. The world is filled with people who have forgotten how to dream. They drift through days, trading time for comfort, and call it maturity. They keep their heads down, say what's expected, and live someone else's definition of a good life. But beneath every routine, there's a secret grief, the knowledge that something important has been lost. Why do most people stay asleep? Because it's safer. Dreaming means hoping, and hope always carries the risk of heartbreak. It's easier to believe that the chance for wonder is gone forever than to risk wanting it again. It's easier to call dreamers naive than to face the fear that your own heart is quietly starving. But deep down, everyone knows the truth. The cost of safety is aliveness. The price of comfort is your soul's wild longing. Jung warned that when we deny our inner world, it doesn't disappear. It goes underground, turning into anxiety, restlessness, or quiet resentment. The more you ignore your dreams, the more life feels grey and meaningless. The world needs your dreamer, not just for you, but for everyone who's lost their way. To become the dreamer you once were is not about pretending nothing has changed. It's about reclaiming the courage to imagine, to hope, and to risk wonder, despite everything you've lost or learned. The world will try to shame you for this. It will offer 1,000 reasons to stay small, play safe, and lower your expectations. But only you can decide when you've had enough of living half awake. Jung believed that rebirth is possible at any age. The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely, he wrote. To do that, you must first accept the parts of you that never fit in, the dreams you've been told to hide, the passions that make you strange or difficult. You have to forgive yourself for the years you spent asleep and welcome the ache of wanting more. The dreamer inside you isn't childish. It's the wisest, bravest part of you. It's the part that knows life can be beautiful even when it's hard. It's the voice that refuses to settle, the eyes that still see magic in small things, the heart that aches for connection, meaning, and joy. If you want to truly live again, you have to risk being misunderstood. You have to choose wonder over routine, hope over cynicism, and your own truth over everyone else's expectations. Most people never go back for their dreams, but you can. The first step is remembering what you've lost and daring to believe it isn't too late to begin again. In the next moments, we'll dig deeper into how to find that dreamer within you and the real steps to waking up for good. If you've felt this quiet hunger, share what you miss most about your old dreams in the comments. Subscribe if you're ready to remember who you were and who you still could be. From the time you're young, the world starts shaping you, teaching you what's practical, what's acceptable, and what's realistic. It does this through 1,000 small moments. A parent who says, "That's not possible." A teacher who rewards following the rules more than imagination. A friend who laughs at your wildest hopes. Even strangers play their part, telling you how to dress, what to say, what to dream. Before long, you learn to shrink yourself to fit the mold. Some people start forgetting their dreams early. Maybe you watched adults trade their passions for steady paychecks and called it growing up. Maybe you learned to keep your ideas to yourself, to avoid being mocked or ignored. Maybe you fell in love with something, drawing, music, helping others, inventing new worlds, only to be told there's no place for that in the real world. Slowly, you build walls around the brightest parts of yourself. You survive by hiding what makes you unique. But those hidden dreams don't just disappear. They become a source of restlessness. You sense that something's missing, but you can't quite name it. You try to fill the emptiness with achievement, approval, or even distractions, anything to quiet that nagging sense that you were meant for more. Carl Jung saw this as one of the greatest dangers of modern life. When people mistake comfort for purpose and end up feeling lost, even when everything seems fine on the outside. To survive in a world that rewards sameness, you put on a mask. You become who others want you to be: responsible, predictable, quiet, agreeable. You laugh at the right jokes, follow the right trends, and bury the parts of yourself that feel too raw or risky. The mask protects you from rejection and disappointment, but it also keeps you from your real life. Jung believed that every person eventually reaches a moment of reckoning, a point where the mask feels too heavy to carry any longer. This can come in a crisis: losing a job, a relationship ending, facing illness, or even just waking up one day and realizing you no longer recognize yourself. The shock is painful, but it's also a chance. The mask can't survive forever, and the dreamer inside you starts to stir. Taking off the mask is scary. It means risking judgment and, sometimes, walking alone for a while. But it's the only way to find out who you really are beneath all the layers of should and must and can't. Jung wrote, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." When you begin to let your old dreams resurface, you realize the world's approval was never worth as much as your own authenticity. So how do you actually become the dreamer you once were? You start by listening to the voice you've buried, to the longings you try to silence, to the things that still make your heart race. This voice is quiet at first, competing with all the noise of responsibility and expectation. But it's persistent. Sometimes it speaks in memories, flashes of childhood, or the sudden ache of nostalgia when you see someone living with wonder. Sometimes it comes as frustration. Why do I feel stuck, bored, uninspired? Most people ignore this voice. They turn up the volume on everything else. Work harder, stay busier, chase approval, avoid discomfort. But Jung believed the soul never truly gives up. It keeps sending signals until you finally pay attention. The more you listen, the louder that voice becomes, and the easier it is to remember who you were before you started pretending. Try this. Sit in a quiet place and ask yourself, what did I once love without fear? What did I imagine for myself before the world taught me to be small? Write down anything that comes up, no matter how childish or impossible it seems. Your dreamer isn't logical. It's honest. If you want to live again, you have to make space for dreams that don't always make sense. One of the hardest parts of waking up is letting go of the version of yourself you created for everyone else. This is the person who makes safe choices, who pleases others, who follows the script. The dreamer doesn't care about the script. The dreamer wants freedom, excitement, and meaning. The dreamer is willing to risk embarrassment, failure, or even heartbreak for the chance to feel alive. Letting go is a process. It might mean saying no to things that once made you feel secure. It might mean disappointing people who are used to you playing a certain role. Sometimes it means standing alone in your truth, even when it makes you feel exposed. But every time you choose yourself, you take a step closer to the life you were meant to live. Jung warned that the biggest danger isn't failing at your dreams, it's never trying at all. I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become. The world is full of people who gave up on becoming. But you have a chance to do something rare, to reclaim the person you lost, and to show others it's possible to begin again. The ripple effect of your awakening. Something incredible happens when you start living as the dreamer again. Other people notice. They might not understand right away, but they feel it. Your energy changes. You become a little brighter, a little braver, a little more magnetic. Some will be drawn to you, inspired by your courage to live with wonder. Others may pull away, threatened by your refusal to settle. That's okay. Not everyone is meant to stay. Your courage gives permission for others to seek their own lost dreams. You become living proof that it's never too late to return to wonder. The world desperately needs people who haven't forgotten how to dream. They remind us all what's possible, even in the hardest times. Every day, you choose to listen to your dreamer. You step further out of the shadow of routine. and into the light of your own life. The hunger you once felt starts to turn into purpose, and as you live more honestly, you find yourself surrounded by others who are waking up too. If you're ready to keep letting go of the old masks and want to see how to rebuild your life as a dreamer in the real world, stay with me. In the next section, you'll discover the real practices and mindset shifts that make wonder a part of every day, no matter what the world expects. Waking up the dreamer inside you is not just a moment of inspiration, it's a daily practice, a new way of seeing yourself and the world. Most people wait for permission to change, as if some future version of themselves will one day feel ready. But Jung knew that transformation starts the moment you dare to act differently, even in small ways. You don't need to wait for a sign. You can begin again right here, right now, with whatever you have and whoever you are. So what does it actually look like to rebuild your life as a dreamer? It starts with making room for wonder. This doesn't mean quitting your job, abandoning your responsibilities, or pretending the world is easy. It means letting yourself notice the small things that spark your curiosity. It means saying yes to what excites you, even if it's just for a few minutes each day. The more you make space for what you love, the easier it becomes to remember the parts of yourself you once hid away. Try to notice what stirs your heart. A song you loved as a child, a quiet walk at sunset, the way stories made you feel like anything was possible. Give yourself permission to linger in those moments. They aren't distractions, they're reminders that you're still alive inside. Jung believed that true creativity and joy arise when we stop forcing ourselves to be useful all the time, and instead let the imagination lead, even if just a little. Dreaming is a habit you can relearn. Set aside a small part of your day for something that doesn't have a goal. Write, draw, explore, imagine, play. At first, it might feel awkward, like you're pretending. But slowly, the act of doing something purely for the joy of it opens doors inside you that routine alone can never reach. Keep a notebook of small wonders. Write down dreams, strange ideas, even the random thoughts you'd normally ignore. Don't judge or analyze. Just notice. The act of collecting your wonder, like gathering flowers in a field, is itself a way of saying, I am more than what the world expects of me. Rituals help too. Try a short walk without your phone, letting your mind wander. Read something you loved as a child, or watch the world wake up early in the morning. The more you fill your life with these small invitations to dream, the easier it becomes to break the habits that kept you numb. Jung often wrote that meaning is found not in grand gestures, but in the quiet moments we give ourselves every day. As you change, old fears will rise up. Part of you may say, who are you to dream again? What if you fail? What if people laugh, or worse, ignore you? These voices are echoes of all the times you learned to shrink, to hide, to accept less. But every time you hear them and choose to keep going, you weaken their hold. Courage is not the absence of fear, it's choosing to move anyway. Sometimes the people around you will resist your change. They might not understand why you care about what seems impractical. They might feel threatened or even try to pull you back to the old, familiar patterns. That's okay. Remember, your dreamer isn't here to please everyone. It's here to make your life feel real, honest, and alive. You may outgrow some relationships, but you'll attract new ones with people who see and celebrate your light. Jung believed that facing resistance is a necessary part of every true transformation. It means you're moving beyond the comfort zone, out of old routines, and into your own life. Let the doubts come. Listen, learn, but don't let them decide for you. Building a new community. One of the best gifts of living as a dreamer is finding others on the same path. At first, you might feel alone, like you're the only one willing to be vulnerable, hopeful, or open. But as you show up more honestly, others who are searching will recognize you. They'll be drawn to your courage, your wonder, your refusal to settle. Slowly, you begin to build a new kind of community, not based on appearances or perfection, but on shared longing, honesty, and the simple joy of being alive. Share your dreams, even the small ones, with people who make you feel seen. Create together. Lift each other up when the world tries to push you back down. The more you connect with others who are reclaiming their dreamers, the stronger your own resolve becomes. Together, you form a living proof that life doesn't have to be grey or empty, that it's never too late to wake up. Living as a dreamer means letting your hopes shape your actions. Ask yourself not just, what do I have to do? But, what do I want to feel? Who do I want to become? Let these questions guide your decisions, big and small. You don't have to know all the answers. You just have to keep following the thread of curiosity, the flicker of excitement, the sense that something more is possible. Your dreamer isn't here to escape reality, but to expand it, to bring color back to days that felt dull, to remind you that life is still full of surprises, even after disappointment. Every time you choose to act on your own wonder, you change your story. You move from simply existing to truly living. Jung taught that true wholeness is not about perfection, but integration, embracing all the parts of yourself, especially the ones you were told to hide. Your dreamer is a vital part of that wholeness. Let it grow. Let it lead. You don't have to go back to who you were. Instead, let the dreamer you once were help you become someone even braver, wiser, and more alive. If you're ready to keep living with wonder, share one dream you're bringing back in the comments. Subscribe if you want more guidance, more courage, and a community of dreamers who believe it's never too late to truly live.